Okay, guys, welcome to another episode of the Three Calcioteers. We have yours truly, myself, Francesco, and Elliot. Guys, it is just so great to see Italy winning the Euros after beating Wales. I'm just kidding, but that's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. I mean, Elliot, you made a great point. You're like, oh, I don't know if we won the Euros like after the win of
Four
Turkey, but
times. New breaking
four
news.
times, guys.
Italy's won the Euros 4 times. If we
Quattro
beat
volte.
Austria, it'll be fifth 5 times. It'll be the only team in history to ever win the Euros 5 times in a
All the stars like around the badge and like and we're gonna wear the World Cup down the sleeve. Anyways, yeah, so very good stuff from Italy, our boys. I'm so happy. Guys, what do you think of the Wales match? I think that Mancini did a very good job with the substitutes. A lot of people were really not a lot of people, but some people were nervous and stuff like that. Verratti, agree on Verratti played a good game or what? What do you guys think of that?
Fantastic.
yeah, unbelievable. Best player on the team. I think that's justified. It should now be illegal to take him out of the game. So,
Yeah,
and I think Mancini did a good job with that. But again, this is my always been my issue is will he now use this logic going forward, or is he going to make Verratti a second teamer? And that's the only thing I'm concerned about because he hasn't played him the first couple of games of the tournament. I think he was eligible to play against
Switzerland. Yeah.
and he didn't play a minute. Obviously, it's different than the Jadon Sancho situation, but like with that, he has to play Verratti going forward, or there's no way around it. You have a lot of other midfield options. And I think Gervinho should be starting with Verratti 100 all the time. But then you can just rotate if you want Barella and Locatelli, whichever order you want to do. But my thing is he has to start Verratti against Austria and against any other team they play for the rest of this tournament. Because it just showed not that they missed anything, but Italy would have been so much more explosive had he played on a consistent basis the first 3 games, or he wasn't injured, et cetera, et cetera. But that's my big takeaway from that game is Verratti has to play. Unless there's like the game is in hand, don't take him out. That's sort of my mindset with it at least.
Yeah, and I think I mean now that Verratti's in the mix, it's like okay, are we gonna like see less of Barella? Are we gonna see less of Locatelli? Is there gonna be a way maybe he's gonna switch up the formation and we're gonna see Jorginho, Verratti, and Locatelli there? Are we gonna see a little bit of more of a change? Not, and yeah, I think him coming back was a huge um, positive outturn. I mean, Wales were all over the guy. Honestly, like I call him a hobbit too. He's a little Bambino, the Marco Bambino Verratti, because he looks like a little boy running around and running around circles with the Wales team. I mean, and
He's so
that
small.
goal, yeah, so small, so explosive, so energetic. But we look at that goal. I mean, don't get me wrong, Wales kind of back and forth a little bit, like okay, Italy, like but that goal, that forget about Pastina. Okay, forget about him. That little flick of the ball. We talk about the setup of Verratti, though. I mean,
Yeah, it was
come
all
on,
him.
that was
It was
beautiful.
fantastic.
I mean, it was beautiful, and I liked how everybody's celebrating and stuff like that. But again, Mancini, he's starting to change my mind, Mancini a little bit because I like him as an international coach now, opposed to a club coach, because right away they're all cheering whatever. You see that little smirk, that little smile, and then he's like telling the boys, "Okay, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. It's only 1-0. Let's keep it going. Yes, we qualified for round 16." But he was just consistently involved, even after getting qualified for the round 16. So that's what I like about him. Francesco, what else did you think about the game? Did you were you obviously this is a piece of cake? Was there moments where you're a little bit nervous in kind of pieces or stuff like that when it came to the game?
Yeah.
Where you're kind of like,
I was nervous the entire game. Obviously seeing the initial starting 11, seeing it was like 8 or 9 changes at the start, and I'm like, okay, like if there's a chance, because Wales is deadly, they have Ramsey and Bale who could make a difference, and if they do make that difference and Italy like still qualify but they come second place, I value that as a failure. So it was a little saying, okay, this is a big challenge for the bench just to prove themselves that our bench is better than Wales' starting team. And I think it proved that. Obviously, Wales was the toughest team we faced in the group stage just because it was the B team, but we played great. I think we did what we needed to do. I would love to see another goal, a 2-0 win or a 3-0 win. but I can't be too greedy. We got a 1-0 win. Verratti was fantastic. He was incredible. Like you guys said, I think he needs to start. I'd start him over Barella personally, but
Yeah.
I think he needs to start. And I think moving forward, the man of the match awards, I think they're becoming a joke now. I don't know how
Yes.
Chiesa got it.
There's
I think
some
he
debate
played.
there. Yeah.
I think he played good, but he kind of reminds me of Ronaldo in an aspect of when he doesn't score or he doesn't do what he's expected to do, and he values himself so highly, he kind of forces himself to do more. So there was a time where he was dribbling his opponent, he couldn't get past. His opponent wasn't nudging, so he lost. He passed it and he called it back instantly. He got it back, and then he tried the same trick over and over again until it worked, and it never did. I think he kind of needs to pump the brakes on that. But other than that, I think Chiesa and Verratti should start. But hopefully in the round of 16, we don't underestimate Austria and we get the job done and we just keep moving.
Yeah, no, that's interesting, and you're right on that. Like I didn't even know you spoke English. I was like so surprised. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, you speak English. He's like, I'm very happy to bring this award. Is very happy, very happy. I'm like, okay, you're very happy. I get it. Okay, you're very happy. Yeah. So that was very good to see him speak English. That was very good. Like when I see him play, it's like Quasimodo in a sense. He's always hunched down. He's always looking down, and he makes me nervous a little bit when I see him play because again, he's a very great player. But again, you're right. He tries to do like the dizzle dazzle, and he calls the ball back, and tries to get away. And then you look at Bernardeschi. Not so bad with Bernardeschi. Like he kind of like okay, all right. You proved yourself as a second string. I mean, proved yourself on
Maybe
the team
third string.
for now.
Or
Yeah,
10th
maybe
string.
third string. 10th string, yes. But he did play an okay game.
Yeah.
That card was a little questionable. I mean, us Italians, we like to, win global awards and be a little too much on the fouls. But, I mean, it is on that Belotti, though. Oh, Elliot, are you happy with his performance? I mean, are you a little nervous now that him being on his way to Roma, or like is that changes with his club to international kind of thing? Like, I think he was terrible. I think he played.
Yeah, he was terrible. He was awful. Like the problem is what I want and what Roma want are not the same thing, and what I want, what all the other Roma fans aren't the same thing. So my transfer ideas and even like close friends of mine that are Roma fans are totally different. You know what I mean? I've been saying this guy's name for ever since we've done this. I want Daniel Malin. That is my number one target for Roma. I want him from PSV to here. If I can't get him, I'll take the one at Sweden, Isaac. Those are the two that I'm most interested in. I'll take Belotti, but again, he's never been my preference. But Roma need a striker, and he can do a job. So I think it doesn't change my sort of wanting him. I think it depends on a lot of things. But I would rather, instead of spending, I don't know how much it would cost, but spending a bunch of money on him and then a whole bunch of money on somebody else, get Malin and Isaac together, play them together, do a two-striker formation, and I'm happy. But again, I understand this very early. What Roma are going to do is not what I want Roma to do. They're going to do what they want, and I think it's still we need a striker regardless. But I do have some sort of reservations about Belotti because sometimes I ask myself, is he really better than Moriel? And because Moriel just had a 17-7 season, and Belotti had he didn't have a super high number of goals. And if you look at the metrics, goal to game ratio, even Zaza had a higher percentage than he did. So he is concerning, but he was always going to be a high risk, high reward. So obviously getting him is a high risk because you're going to have to pay whatever. But it could be great. Being around better players will put him in better opportunities. But then again, he was just with Italy, which has the best Italian talent in the world together, and he still couldn't perform. So I'd take him, but at the same time, he's never been and never will be my number one choice. He may be my number 3 choice, but as it stands, I'd still take him a Roma, even though I think I hope Roma kind of broaden their horizons as far as looking for strikers. And I understand that they're not going to get Malin, even though I want him really badly. But they should look at other opportunities before they're so sort of sold on Belotti, because there's a way you can look at him that you could talk yourself out of it. Because if you just look at certain situations from last year, and at the Euro so far, you could argue, okay, maybe we shouldn't do that. Maybe let's look at some other opportunities. And again, I take him, but I think they just should have broadened their horizons a little bit before they make that decision and fork out $34 million for someone who's not worth that much at this moment.
Quick question. Sorry. So the Spinazzola Boja thing, is that I'm hearing is that something that they're going to continue with or no? Because I heard that Roma confirmed we're not going to do this deal. We're not going to get rid of Spinazzola. Boya, we're going to keep him for that last kind of Stones team, and then that's it. We're not going to do that swap deal. Any confirmation on that?
On Moriel and who are you talking about? Sorry.
Boja. Boya there. Your boy there, 21 on. I call him Boja on Roma.
Oh, okay, yeah. They said that they weren't going to purchase the option this season, but they could next year. They just wanted to see another year under him, under Mourinho, stuff like that, which I totally respect.
Yeah.
Spinazzola's getting buzz after the Euro performances with Real Madrid.
Right.
And I'll say this, and again, I don't think most people are going to have this sort of point of view, but I want to keep him. I really don't want to see him go. However, if they pay, everybody has a price. If they pay enough where I could say, okay, then I do it. Secondly, if Spinazzola wants to play for Real Madrid and they pay money, I don't think Roma should stand in the way of him doing that. When you can say Real Madrid isn't at the greatest moment, they're probably still at a little better moment than Roma right now. Going into a league that it lacks exactly what he does, especially with some of the absentees that they have. And, historically speaking, that's one of the biggest clubs in the history of the game, probably the biggest in the world. So if he wants to go to Real Madrid, I don't think we should stand in the way as long as they pay the money. Because I don't ever want to sort of look at a player and say, he's happy here, but he would rather play for this team if the deal went through. And if that's ever a situation with Spinazzola, I think they should let him go and figure out something else. Because I feel enough confidence with Karsdorp on one side, and you can get someone else on the other side won't be as good as Spinazzola, but certainly we could get something where, I don't know, if he wants to go to Real Madrid and they pay us like $60 million, go ahead. Now, if they're offering like 30, no. I want them to overpay. Real Madrid has money, so they should be overpaying regardless. But if they offered 60 and Spinazzola or like 45, and you throw in somebody like Isco, yeah, I'll do that deal, or just somebody like that. So it really depends on the entire situation. But I don't think Roma should categorize him as like untouchable, because I think he's really, really good. But I also think that there's a lot of players at his position who are really good. So the position that he plays, there's a lot of quality at that position where, like, for example, strikers and attacking midfielders, as far as in price range, there's not a lot that you can get at those positions. They're harder to replace. Where with like a wingback, I think you could find something there. Again, my preference is to keep him. But if Real Madrid come knocking, they talk to him, and he says, "You want to come play at the Bernabeu?" And he says, "I'll be right there." Then fair enough, pay the money and we'll do it. But I don't think they should, like, Roma should just make him so untouchable that we don't. Because the fear I always have with deals like this is Bellotti, when he was offered the deal where he was like could have gone for like 80 million, and then 2 years later, and then your boy Savic, who at the time could have gone for like 120, and now he's probably 60, 70, So from a business standpoint, this may be the best chance to cash in, because he could, he is an amazing player, but after the Euros, his quality may not be as good. I'm hoping that's not the case, but so you have to think about this. Yes, I want to build a strong team for Roma, number one. Number two, but you have to look at this as a business point of view as well. Is this, can we get something in return and some cash that could help us in that area, et cetera, et cetera. But, I'm hoping he stays, and I think he does stay. But there certainly is a possibility he'll be at Real Madrid next year. Or somebody else who comes in, because I don't think Real Madrid ain't going to be the last team that comes in for him after the tournament he has. Unless he starts playing like shit, he's going to be there. Those teams are going to come in for him, and there's nothing Roma can do about it other than have a high asking price and figure out something. But I would prefer to keep him. But if he ends up at Real Madrid or somebody else, but they pay us the money, I can live with that, because with Mourinho, he's going to have plans for everything. So losing one player is not going to be like the end of the world, unless Jordan. Now, if Jordan is on that list, I think that's a player that you can't get rid of, and Pellegrini's one you can't get rid of. But I think pretty much everyone else, and Karsdorp I would even throw in there. But everyone else, it's Mourinho's call, and if he has a better idea, I'm sort of on board with what he wants.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think Spinazzola is a very talented player. He can play pretty much anywhere in the back, and go up a little bit too, and kind of play that kind of supporting role as well. Francesco, your boy, Mr. Gigi, Superman Buffon, had a little party at Parmigiano Cheese Calcio at Parma. What did you think of that? Did you take a glimpse of? Was it on anything, or was it just
I haven't seen the video. I just saw the pictures.
Yeah,
because Fabrizio Romano was there. Because I saw his Instagram story, and he was at Parma, and then I saw an hour later there was all these pictures of Buffon, so I think that's why he was there. Otherwise, I don't know.
Yeah, and how do you feel in that sense? Are you happy? Are you like, we could have used him for another season? Like now with this whole Szczesny situation. Oh my God, see that freaking Polish one. He's making me lose my words. This guy, Szczesny, the situation with him. Do you think that obviously it was kind of a mistake for Juventus letting him go, or was it right for him to go? What's your kind of quick mindset on that situation?
In Buffon's eyes, it was right for him to go. He wants to prove to Mancini he has that. Buffon's always been a bit selfish, and in a good way, I would say. He's always wanted more. He's always wanted more trophies. He strives to be the greatest. He wants that final push at the World Cup with Italy. He sees how good this Italian team is. He wants to say, listen, Mancini, I'm going to go be a starter. I'm going to go to Parma because I want to play in Italy. I want to play somewhere I love. I think it would have been a little better if he played in the Serie A, but you went to go play for Parma. He wants to say, Mancini, listen, I'm going to start at Parma. I'm going to show you that I still have it. I don't want to be the starter. I don't want to be the backup. Call me up as the third string keeper. I just want to be part of the team, part of the squad, and motivate the young players. Help sharpen Donnarumma's skills a bit, and just teach the young boys leadership, and just motivate her in the locker room. But he wants to be like a player. So I feel like in his eyes it's good. In Juve's eyes, it's the biggest mistake we've ever made, apart from Spinazzola. We saw this season, Buffon came in, kept clean sheets. Szczesny came in. I can't remember if he kept a clean sheet this season for how bad he's been. It's been in the Euros. He's been poor in the Euros. He's been poor at Juve. He lacks mentality. He just doesn't have it in him. He doesn't care enough to keep a clean sheet. He doesn't care if he makes a mistake. I think that's the problem. And to see that Allegri thinks he's a top 4 goalie in the world, he's going to be surprised next season when he's getting these blunders in. I really hope he whips him back in the shape, Allegri, but I don't see anything special coming from him. I think it's going to be a disaster, and it's going to be Bonucci and Chiellini and De Ligt trying to save Szczesny all season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's for sure. I mean, you guys know me. I'm not a big fan of Buffon and stuff. When I saw the deal actually go through, I'm like, okay, all right, I'll give this guy a chance. I mean, maybe he'll stop betting on himself. No, I'm kidding. Not really though. But maybe we'll start to see like a Buffon that everybody wanted to see or anything like that. Again, I can't take nothing away too much from him because he's a great keeper. He's helped us in many situations and stuff like that. So, and Mancini being Mancini, I hope the whole kind of prospect of him playing in a CDB won't turn him off in a sense, because Conte didn't like the whole MLS and CDB players and stuff like that. So I hope that doesn't kind of relate back to Buffon.
I think it just to prove Mancini. I think it just to prove to Mancini that he has the fitness and he has the capabilities to make saves. Right. I think his resume itself proves that he's arguably good enough for the national team as a third string. I think it's just to show Mancini's listen, like I know you think I'm old, but I'm gonna make these saves. I'm gonna get this amount of clean sheets in the City of A, and then we could talk.
Yeah, I think actually the whole thing with him going to Italy for the World Cup, I think it only comes down to one thing. Buffon's resume is amazing. He's going to be good enough to not be terrible at Parma. He just needs to stay healthy. I think that's what it comes down. If he doesn't get hurt, and it depends on who you look at, but I think if he doesn't get hurt, that's enough for him to go. I mean, the only reason I say that is that the backups that Italy have in the national team aren't very good, anyways. So it's not like you're ruining someone's dream from happening. If that's like, I think in general, that's something that he had his World Cup. And at this point, it just sounds like he just wants to sit on the bench and see them win another one. Because as I've stated,
it must be part of the moment.
I think they'll make the semifinal or quarterfinal of this tournament, but I think they will win the World Cup in 2022. And I think he just wants a seat on that bench to see it happen, to be a part of it. And maybe he plays in one game or something like that. Just because Sirigu, Merritt, Donnarumma is just way better than everybody else. I don't see anybody in that's very good. So because of that, I think it's cool. But I think as far as I don't think he needs to prove that he can play, because the Barcelona game proved you that already. He went up against Leo Messi, and Barca as a whole didn't play very well that game, but Messi was fantastic and he saved everything shot at him. So I think that shows that he's a great player, that Buffon still can perform at least to some level. But I think as far as being a great keeper at Parma, I don't think that's necessary. He just can't get injured. If he gets injured, then I think it kind of takes away from his chances of making the tournament. But if he's healthy and he's not the worst goalkeeper in the league, or he's at least one of the top 10 goalkeepers in Serie B, I think that's enough, because you can prove with the national team it's going to be a different situation. But just don't hurt yourself, and then I think his spot is there. And I don't think it has to do with him being a world-class goalkeeper for Parma and Serie B. But so just stay healthy and you're good, dude.
Yeah, and speaking of goalkeepers too, I was kind of nervous when Mancini did the whole sub with Donnarumma, and I got his point with it about like how he didn't play in the World Cup in 1990, and this night wants everyone a chance. And it's funny, I think it was Italian football TV. I saw this. It's funny. Someone like messaged right away. What about Meret with a sad face? It's like, okay, Mancini's
he'll
nice,
play eventually.
Nice. He'll play eventually, of course.
He'll come on in like the 90th minute of some game that's already determined.
Yeah,
for sure. And stuff like that. So I mean, interesting points with Buffon. And again, you guys are right. He needs to stay healthy, and it'd be nice for him to kind of again win an important cup. I mean, we all know Buffon. He's been the guy that's been trying to win a Champions League since the beginning of time. Sorry. Since the dinosaurs used to walk, so it's it'd be nice for him to kind of win something in that end. So our next game is Austria. Arnold Schwarzenegger's boys. Get to the chopper. It's Austria against Italy. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts coming in the game? Are you going to change anything? Are you not going to change anything? I mean, who's the kind of one player you're kind of looking out for in terms of that Austrian kind of squad? Francesco, do you want to start, and then we'll end up with Elliot here.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I want to start Chiesa over Berardi. I just think he could. I think every player so far has had that first game where they weren't the best. And I think once they get over that, they were amazing. Locatelli in the first game wasn't amazing. And in the second game, he scored 2 goals and he dominated the midfield. So I would start Chiesa and I would start Verratti over Barella. That would personally be me. Now, if Chiellini is injured, I would put Bastoni over Acerbi. I think Bastoni and Bonucci is a better pairing than Acerbi is. If Chiellini is fully fit, I mentioned this on this Six Side podcast earlier. The only thing that worries me about this Italy team is the way that Italy dominate the game and the way that these teams sit back so tightly. I feel like Austria is going to sit back and try to counter us. And when they do that and Italy just have the ball for so long, you could tell Chiellini, he just gets bored and he just joins the attack because he wants to like be a part of something. He gets bored just standing back there. And when that happens and they pass it past Chiellini, he's too slow to run back. So just Bonucci back there because you have Spinazzola and Di Lorenzo or Flanzi, whoever it's going to be there. They're part of the attack already. So it's 3 just Bonucci there and just a bunch of midfielders just trying to run back on the counter. And I think that's the only part that scares me about this team is the fact that Kylian's going to get bored if we're just dominating the game. And we could get on some killer counter and Arnautovic just gets like a long shot. And Donnarumma hasn't been tested yet. So he's probably picking daisies in the backfields. It's like, oh shit, the ball's coming. That's my only fear for this team. As long as everyone stays calm, cool, and composed, I think we should get the win. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be harder than every game we've played before because now they have the mindset of if we lose, we're going home. Let's upset these Italians. They're undefeated. They haven't conceded in so many games. Let's show them why we're going to be the dark horse of the tournament, not Turkey, who couldn't even get a point. Let's be the real dark horse of the tournament and get away from this Euro.
What do you think, Mike?
No, I agree with most of what you said there. As far as for me, I think Verratti, Locatelli, and Jorginho. I think that's the midfield I want. I like 100%. Berardi, and Chiesa being involved again. I don't think you need to change too much as far as Italy's point of view. Italy need to just play their game and don't pay attention to the parades that are being taken place after everything. From a mental point of view, and this is the thing I'm going to continue to say all tournament. No reaction. You win, no reaction. You lose, lose, cry. But if you win, just don't even let yourself be seduced to sort of celebrating something. I think they just need to stay extremely focused. So as long as they act the polar opposite of the way the fans are acting, I think Italy will. I do think they'll win this game, but I do think they'll concede. As far as Austria, if Austria played the way they play football was different, the more productive way, because I don't know why they play Alaba as a center back. He's been great defensively for Austria, but he needs to be on the outside to trying to do something there. Yeah. But so I don't love the formation that they play I think it's good for Italy, but bad for Austria. The wild card though for Austria is the dude at Stuttgart. I can't say his name; it's too hard. But starts with S, and there's a bunch of Z's.
Oh, I think yeah.
He's So I think Arnautovic. Okay, yeah, he scored against North Macedonia. I don't care. I just think that guy offers more for Austria than Arnautovic does at this moment. And I think if they start him from the beginning, the game will ultimately be more difficult on Italy. Don't get me wrong. I do think Italy are going to go through, and I'm almost 100% sure that they will. But that's the key for as far as trying to dictate for Austria's point of view how they're going to get into it, because he has pace. He's quite imposing, big guy. He can catch balls in the air. Of his, I think 14 goals, he has 7 headers this season in the Bundesliga. There's a reason teams are looking at him. He is the one you want to kind of deal with. With Alaba, because he's playing in a defensive position. I don't think you can prepare for anything on him. He's just going to play the way he does, and he's going to be brilliant as always. But he's not going to be the reason Austria scored in this game or try to put some pressure on Italy. It will be because of the guy up top. And if he has space, or Italy give him space, or they try to close down the box, so forcing shots from outside the box, which is a good strategy in general. But that dude can hit it from deep too. So I think he's the one to look at. I don't know who you would kind of use, because usually I don't think he would play, but like somebody like who has enough speed, but also the toughness to try to single-handedly man mark him in the game. So anytime he's in good space, one of the Italian defenders is always there. So he doesn't have the sort of space. So when he doesn't have space, he gets closed down. I saw it in the Wolfsburg game at the end of the year where Lacroix was on him pretty much everywhere he ran. The dude was right there, and he couldn't do anything. He basically neutralized him out of the entire attack. So if Italy can use a player to just track him everywhere he goes, I think it'll make it more difficult for him, because the problem is if you give him space either in the box or outside the box, he's multiple ways of scoring, and that's the key. And I think he'll probably get a goal in this game. I think it'll probably be like a consolation after Italy or kind of have it wrapped up. But that's the one Austrian player that I worry about, just because I see this guy play pretty much every week in the Bundesliga, and I know what he can do. And the best way to mess with him is having someone just follow him everywhere. And if he doesn't have space, he can't really do anything. And if he can't do anything, I don't think Austria can score. So I don't know what the formation or the defense is, but if there was a way Bastoni could play, and if you just look at circumstantials in this game, I would consider that, just because Bastoni has the speed and the toughness to follow him wherever he goes. Where Bonucci and Chiellini are probably better as a pair, but I think in terms of like strategically speaking, Bastoni's game would make him the most would cause more difficulty than any other type of defender that Italy have. But that's just me, and obviously I want Bonucci and Chiellini next to each other in every game except this one. This one I want Bastoni on the field just because of that. Because yes, the pair that they have is great, and it's done a great job. They haven't conceded. There's a reason they're so good, but they don't have the I don't know what to say. The way their skill set doesn't necessarily dictate how well of a good game that he could have. Where Bastoni's skills are everything that would make him the most uncomfortable. So for me, you take him out of the game, they probably don't score. But I reckon he'll get one just because I don't think Bastoni plays, and I think it'll be the regular pairing. And they'll do a lot on him, but I think he'll get half a yard one time and score. And I think it'll be a fantastic goal, but I do think that Italy will win this, and I think by more than one goal. Although I want to give respect to Austria we shouldn't disrespect them for the possibility of something happening. But as long as you deal with the guy up front, I think Italy should be okay. I would be more concerned about the rounds to follow than this one, but that's the one guy you have to worry about.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that I think it's dead on, especially with Bastoni. With me, the thing is, if Chiellini, and again, I'm taking Chiellini as an international player, not Juventus player. Juventus, I hate him with all my heart and guts and everything. But with Italia, I love him. I love Toucan Sam Chiellini with all my Fruit Loops, Pebbles, whatever the series promotes. I love him. The thing is, he's older, and with the injury, it scares me. I know it was a small injury or big injury, whatever you got. It scares me a lot. And you look at Bastoni, like Elliot, you brought up with the qualities that he has. This guy, he knows how to drop bombs on the other end of the field. This guy goes up and he knows how to pick. He's kind of like a defensive Pirlo, taller and more like buffer. And the guy just boom, boom. He's on the wing, just dropping. He's like, oh, I see you over there. They're not 100% accurate all the time, but at least he dumps the ball. He dumps it, and he looks good doing it. And he doesn't want to lose the ball too much. And I feel like putting Bonucci and Bastoni to start. Again, Chiellini, I like the pair as well, but I'm not confident in Chiellini.
For this game, though, the thing is, for this game, you don't start the two of them because the guy up the Stuttgart guy is going to have a field day with those two, because the thing with Bastoni is he's quick and he has enough. His body's going through transformation as he's becoming more physically strong. And the thing is, if he tracks him the whole game, the space that he's going to get is going to be minimized. Where Bonucci and Chiellini, if they go after him, he'll have enough space to lift the ball into the top corner. Yeah. And then the other thing is, I didn't even think about that. Then you have him the attacking point of view where he can bomb forward. And you mentioned kind of Pillow. I think he reminds me a little bit of a young Josh Kimmich, who is, again, I think he's one of the best players in the world, especially with the ball delivery. He's not as accurate. And Josh at his age was a little better, but they're very similar in the sense where he has the speed to go forward, but also has the endurance to come back. So he's not being, so you don't get exposed with that. And you track the guy, and then when you have the ball, you kick it up either down the wing to Lorenzo or Spinazzola. And then if he finds some space in the midfield or beyond, he can hit a bomb forward. So I think attacking wise, that's a good thing. I think but again, I'll say this again. The number one priority for him is to just try to make their number one offensive threat as uncomfortable as possible. Because I watch this guy in the Bundesliga a lot. He doesn't need much space to get into a position where he can score. And it's great that we have Donnarumma in there. but he scored goals in this season that Neuer wouldn't save just because he had a little space. So you have to make sure he has no space, no room to breathe, and he's just, I don't know, maybe you get under his skin a little bit, make him just say something that sort of reprimands him a little bit. Maybe Barella, because he seems to be the guy to do that. Come around saying, you can do this or whatever. But just because the thing is, if he's closed down, he's going to be already frustrated. And usually when a player plays mad, they're not thinking logically, so they'll do things that they shouldn't be doing. So I don't know. I just think the most important thing is to make sure this guy has no space to operate. Because if he does, even if it's a half a yard, he's got a great strike. So if there's enough space, he'll find a way to get into the back of the net. But I think for the most part, Italy will have it controlled. But again, the fear is if he gets an early chance in this game and they give him too much space and he just rifles one of the top of the net and now Italy are behind. It's sort of he's the one to look at throughout the whole game for me. But I do think Italy will win this relatively comfortably. But we have to make sure we don't start this, in such a bad way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's funny you say you egg him on. I was about to say Adanovic. I think that's the guy that we need to egg on. We've seen him in other leagues. We saw him in the other game against Macedonia. This guy can be a hothead. If we could just kind of do a little pincer move on him as well too, and get him going, and he's sent off again. Oh, we're pretty much there. That's half the battle right there. As much as Adanovic is not the actual threat, but that's kind of that key in that.
He's
right?
I don't know what you call it. He's the toughness of Austria. He's we know why he got that suspension. Yeah. So we know that he's a very aggressive personality, and he just, I don't know. He kind of reminds me like Dennis Rodman a little bit. He's got that personality. He's not the best player. Don't get me wrong. Alaba's the best player, and then the guy from Stuttgart's the best offensive player. But if you can get him out, sent off immediately, then all of a sudden all the burden is gonna fall on the back of this 21-year-old kid who had an amazing season at Stuttgart. But now you're dealing with, regardless of what anybody says, Italy is one of the best teams in the world as right now, before the tournament and now. So that's going to be a challenge. And Italy are kind of loaded everywhere. So again, it's just like now it's all on me, which I think that would force him into making not dumb plays, because I think he's a really intelligent player, but he'll be trying some things that he wouldn't have to try regularly, and he'll probably just try to fire some shots on goal just because he wants the pressure. Because I think Italy will control possession. I think they'll dominate the game. So all you need to do is to make sure he doesn't get a look, because if he gets a look, he can hit it, and Donnarumma is going to be there to deal with it. But I've seen him hit shots that goalkeepers can't save. So again, to me, I keep on repeating it. Don't give him any space, because I've seen him with very small amount of space being able to do something. That's why I want Bastoni in his face and in just closing down on anything he does. And if I'm Bastoni, he's the thing I'm thinking about. I'm going to locate him on every single play and every single opportunity, just because if he doesn't have a moment, I don't think there's a way they score. And sure, the guy who we were talking about, he can score, but it was against North Macedonia. It was in the weakest group. Et cetera, et cetera. So Alaba's the best player. He'll probably have the best game. But if you take out the guy, I mean, there's really only one player who can really threaten. And I'm sure there's a midfielder who could probably do something that I'm not thinking of. But he's the one to deal with, because if he doesn't score, I don't think there's goals.
The guy who plays for Red Bull, I keep forgetting his name. He's got
Sabitzer.
Oh, Sabitzer.
Yeah. There's him.
That's another one you have to look at, because, I mean, his passing is just ridiculous. So that's another thing you have to worry about is getting someone to control him, because if he gets the ball to the other guy with space, it's going to be hard to deal with. But I think Italy win this 3-1, but they have to win that battle. And it's not going to be a 3-1 where it's like Italy will go up 3-0 after 25 minutes and then Austria score. I think it's going to be like 2-1 most of the game, and then I don't know, somebody will score a crazy goal at the end of the game for Italy to kind of ice it. But I expect this to be more difficult than any team they played. But I think that there's no reason. I won't say that it will be embarrassing if they get knocked out, but it would be kind of, because I think the talent on two teams are just, they're not even close to each other. Austria has three really good players, one player arguably world class, and then just a whole bunch of guys. Where Italy has their midfield alone is probably, the talent is just a joke. So I don't know, but that's the way I see it.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing also I wanted to mention too is I like how Jorginho and Verratti they do drop back, and you always got that in the random midfielder just sitting right there making sure everything's good on that end. But it's like they go back and forth, and thank God for that pair because they've got that communications. Okay, we got to drop back, and you see Bastoni a little bit coming up from the side, and he's dropping the ball in over there. So if they can kind of hold that kind of communication where Bastoni switching spots with Verratti or Jorginho
Yeah.
instead of both, because sometimes when I looked at the game, I was like, both of them are going back, and then these guys are going up, so it kind of made me nervous a little bit. Obviously, Italy had more of the game than anybody else, but yeah, for sure, I think that we can't give that Stuttgart or Stugazzo kid any space or whatsoever, and then Danovic is one way. And Alaba being a center back is I think
Stupid.
best news because the best news I heard because
Yeah.
I thought that coming into the tournament
It'd be a
he's gonna
mid.
switch back as a wing back, and I'm like, I please Alaba, do not switch as a wing back, do not switch. And he stayed as a center back. I'm like, thank God, thank God.
Yeah, but I do think Mancini should plan for something unexpected like that because they might change this formation on everybody. Maybe I don't know. For some reason, they wanted not to win the group and they wanted to slide in second, so they did that on purpose. I don't know. I'm just putting up some conspiracy theories, but Mancini should at least prepare for the possibility that they have Alaba as a right back or whatever.
Yeah.
Just because they've played the whole tournament without it in that certain way, so maybe now they're out just because they're playing Italy. They'll change it immediately to kind of throw people off. So I hope Mancini is prepared for everything, and I think Mancini is a good coach. I think with the talent he has, it's made him look better than he probably is.
Yeah.
So that I don't like. So don't get me wrong. I don't think Mancini is a bad coach. I just don't rate him the way everyone else does because in my mind, I'm like, if he had the Hungarian team, I don't think they get a point against France. So there's a lot of talent there, but he has a lot to use there. So that goes in his benefit. But I think for him, it's about adapting to the circumstances. That's where he's gonna earn that contract that they gave him before a game was played. So so I think there's a slight possibility that Alaba does not play center back, and all of a sudden he's on the playing as a wing back, and then right then and there, I hope they're prepared for it because if they're not, that's not going to be a good look. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and no, that's so right. So I hope they don't do that. Okay, so you mentioned Elliot. You mentioned 3-1 predicted score. Francesco, what do you think? What do you eyeing for? Same thing or kind of?
I'm kind of eyeing the hunger of the Italians. Obviously the best center back to grace the pitch. I'm kidding before anyone takes this seriously. Bonucci. I already knew the Milan fans are gonna come in. Maldini. No, I'm kidding. But I think Bonucci, regardless if it's Bonucci, Bastoni, Bonucci, Chiellini, I don't think we're conceding. Unless a Cherby plays. If a Cherby plays, I think it'll be 3-1.
Oh, you think so? Oh.
If a Cherby plays, but if a Cherby doesn't play and it's Bastoni, Bonucci, or Chiellini, Bonucci, I think it's gonna be 3-0. It won't be an easy 3-0 though. It'll be very like we'll score
Very
one
to the
goal
end.
after like 50th minute, and then once Austria bring all their men up, we'll kind of score a second one, and then they'll bring even more men up, and then kind of just bury the game.
Yeah, they easily could get a clean sheet here, but in my head I'm just thinking when Italy have it kind of wrapped up, they'll give my man from Stuttgart just a little too much space and he'll score one goal. That's my whole logic. I thought about going a clean sheet, but then I thought about sort of the matchup and if Italy kind of have it on the way, and then my guy comes forward and has that just little space, he could bang one. So that's the only reason I have him scoring.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, I'm gonna go with I want to say 3-1, but I'll make it a little different. I'm gonna go with 2-1. I can't see Italy doing a clean sheet as much as I want it and make that record kind of go on.
Yeah.
I feel like Donnarumma is gonna get tested, and this kid's gonna rip one out of somewhere, or anybody else, Mr. Seltzer sits or whatever, or Mr. Man Bun is gonna rip one, or whoever, right? So I think 2-1, but again, I think it's going to be I don't think it's going to be 1-2. I think it's going to be very late in the game. And then these teams are going to start conceding and stuff like that, and ultimately we're going to win, right? But again, I I said it was going to be scrappy game for the Switzerland game, and look what happened there. So
Yeah.
anything could go. It's really kind of up in the air in terms of that. So before we go, let's talk
One
about
more
a little
thing
bit
on
of
that, real quick. Real quick.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you guys this. So obviously we want Italy to go through and we want it to be convincing. But my actually thought here is maybe it's better for the whole tournament that Italy are tested and it's a gritty sort of tough game because then they'll be more prepared for
Yeah.
Belgium. But I don't know. That's just my theory on it. I don't know because
Mhm.
if they win easily and then they go play Belgium and Belgium just spank them or something,
Yeah.
I think I'd like them to go through. Obviously, I don't want them to win, and I want it to be good.
Mhm.
But I would like a little bit of testing from Austria,
Yeah.
where Italy don't.
Oh, for sure.
So they're not sort of
They're
like
prepared.
they're prepared for what may come ahead. So like a game where Italy play great, it's ugly, it's a gritty game, but Italy pull away. They don't play their best game, but they still win. I think that's the best approach for going into the quarterfinals. But I know that's just me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and to add to that, I think that's great because I think it's going to show people like Gary Neville, which
Oh,
like, of course, this guy had to say something. I'm like, dude, like,
can't
shut
stand
up,
him.
Vieira
you know
too.
what I mean? Like, I loved him and I respected him when he was kind of the front runner of the whole Super League, and every everything he said was right about the
I actually
owners
think
and
he's a good pundit. I just think he said something incredibly stupid. That's the
no,
way
he
I look
did,
at it.
100%. No, 100%. And I gotta say, like, dude, like, come on. It's like, if I were you, I wouldn't be talking because your England side is like, ooh, like I know they won today, but
Yeah.
like they're always saying it's coming home, it's coming home. Where
But
is it, Kyle?
the
Where is
funny
it
thing about
going?
that is his nation has a player who in the last 3 seasons has 114 goal contributions and has played 6 minutes. So
Yeah.
I think before he starts talking, he needs to talk to his man down there. Say, this guy has a lot of goals, a lot of assists last 3 seasons. Start putting him
Yeah,
on the pitch. And England, it's just the arrogance of it. And again, there's a lot of nations that are victim to this, but it's coming home. And I keep telling my friends, yeah, it's coming home, but probably to France or Italy, to Belgium, not to
yeah,
England,
yeah,
because they say it every time, regardless of the squad. There was this whole
yeah,
narrative of how this was the worst assembled England squad in years, and
Yeah.
they say it's coming home. So
yeah,
like, what the
yeah.
hell is that?
Kane is a missing man, and it's like it's funny. It's all the wanted posters or like the missing posters. If found, please return to Southgate. And I wouldn't even blame Sancho if he gets up and be like, you know what? I'm gonna switch my thing. I'm gonna go to Germany or whatever. It would never
I
happen,
think
but that would be kind of funny.
I don't know who he can represent, but if there's a possibility that he could change his nation, I would tell him to do it.
No, I'll tell him to do it too. Oh, 100%. Oh, do it. Honestly, like it's like this manager always believes in fullbacks. I got 100 fullbacks, but like I don't care about like the attack. Whatever, go nuts,
Or he
guys.
could punish England by not leaving Germany and going to the Premier League. Stay at Dortmund another year. That's what I'd love to see, just to see people melt.
Yeah. That's the thing, right? So, in regards of players moving and stuff like that, some transfer news. Chinanoglu, Mr. Shawarma over here, Mr. Osmo Shawarma, has switched allegiances from Milan to Inter on a free, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, on a
On a
free.
free. Another
This
free.
is another free. This is the second player from the Milan squad that has left on a free. So yes, we have the Donnarumma has gone to PSG. We'll get to that shortly. But guys, again, none of us are Milan fans or anything like that, but can we get Korean something? Now, Milan, I'm going to call them the friend zone club. They're too nice. They're too nice with their clubs and managers and this and that. Now, you think Milan are going to be like, okay, enough's enough. We have to put our foot down, especially Maldini. I think Maldini is really mad at the point because he's been dealing with Chanoglu for like months and months and months and months on end about the situation, right? And we heard about the situation with when Maldini went up to Donnarumma in one of the games. He said, "Listen, between me and you, without your agent, without Jabba the Hutt, Mino Raiola, whatever your name is, just me and you talking. I'll get you what you want for the extension, this and this and that." And then Donnarumma turns around and says, "No, I have to listen to my agent. He's my agent. This and that." and then now he loses Chernobyl. So now, at this point, I mean, should we see this Milan, this Maldini kind of put their foot down and be like, hey, enough's enough? Should we put like in a penalty, or like if we see anybody that's going or whatever? Like, I think my personally, like, I know this kind of sounds really silly, but if one player is going to a straight rival club, I think they should get something, a penalty or something should be kind of lashed out on them in a sense, because like
Yeah.
Chernobyl, this is a guy that was purchased in one of the 2017, 2018.
There's only one player
Milan
left.
buyout.
Yeah.
From that,
Kessie.
just Kessie.
It's crazy. And the amount of times this guy showed loyalty to Milan was disgusting. Like, this guy, couple games here and there, couple games here and there, and he's expecting this big money move. And what was it? It was like what, $1 million difference that he went over, and plus bonuses. Correct me if I'm wrong, or was there more to it to that deal?
No,
I don't
it
know.
seems about right.
I think it was pretty similar.
Yeah.
I don't. It's hard to know who to blame here, because obviously this is not Luis Figo to Real Madrid. They're not going to throw
Right.
pigs at him when he takes corner kicks.
Right.
But Milan kind of dropped the ball on this too. They wasted two. Because here, the problem, okay, so here's, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but on the Donnarumma thing, when they were negotiating at first, Mino Raiola, whatever his name is, when he was negotiating initially, he was asking for a smaller sum, but he wanted yet less years. So what he wanted a year contract with an option to leave the next year. So if he wanted to, he could go and test. But Milan didn't want to do it. So they withdrew the offer, and then got to the table again. And then Mino, fat boy, Raiola, like raised his price for Donnarumma. So if Milan would have taken that first deal that had been offered, that had been negotiated, they wouldn't be in a situation. And the same with Hakan, I can't say his last name. He was in negotiations originally, and it was the first thing was $7 million a year, et cetera, et cetera. But I also think it had something to do with the length. But he wanted a shorter deal, and Milan didn't do it, and then they came back and asked for more. So I think both parties here are suck. I think Hakan really kind of screwed Milan, but Milan, it's a very difficult situation because he's not like a club legend that went from one to another. But equally, he doesn't have that respect among football world yet, where we saw Ronaldo and Seedorf go from one to another, and all those guys. But there was a respect about them as players. So when they made that move, it didn't seem like a huge stab in the back, because the world of football respected those guys. Where this one, it just feels like he just said, "Oh, you're not going to give me my money? Screw you! I'm going to go to Inter, and we're going to kick your ass."
Yeah, pretty much. And I feel like, okay, aside from the Figo, because the Figo one, there was some hot water into that, and Barca did it, whatever. But like, you look at Ronaldo and Seedorf or whatever, and Pirlo. I mean, these guys did a kind of a journey, and then kind of they slowly immigrated to their rival clubs, right?
Yeah.
Chernobyl, it's like right away he gets up one morning. Okay, I'm out of the Euros. Okay, I'm bored. Okay, let's break Milan's balls. Yeah. Let's break Milan's balls. I'm gonna go join Inter or whatever. And then like the amount of comments, and like even Turkish fans like who love him and this and that even said too, like that is the most, like even players that do Benfica to Fenerbahce, they don't even do that. They do that, but they do like a turnaround. They play like a player from Benfica will do Trabzonspor and then go to China or go somewhere in Italy.
There's like a gradual number of clubs before you, just like when Kolarov went from Lazio to Roma, there was like 2 years in between. So when he came to Roma, he wasn't like, if he had gone directly from one to another, I think it'd be 10 times worse than this. Just because I think the Milan rivalry is more about trophies and success, where the Roma fans and Lazio fans, other than you and me, they just hate each other. Yeah. So it's just like, so for that, it's different. But at least some of those guys had gone to other clubs. He didn't go from one to another. And Figo's the main one because of.
Oh, that's
that's the worst one ever. But then you have other ones too. But this is just going from one to another. and you go from potentially signing a contract a month ago to now leaving the same club and not going to a different club for free, going to the arch nemesis of AC Milan. That's why it's fucked up. Not because he's leaving, but because he was this close to not leaving, and then he makes that move and goes to Inter. I don't know. It's hard to say how to gauge what it is, but it's whatever it is. It's at least a little fucked up that this happened.
Yeah, no, for sure. Definitely, it's that free part that aggravates me. And of course, it's going straight. It's like Toronto Maple Leafs and Montreal Canadiens. It's like the straight to that rivalry. Like you don't give it time. You don't do like kind of a journeyman kind of journey, and then you end up at your rival. Okay, that's what kind of screwed me up a little bit. Francesco, what do you think? You think kind of agree with that? Like how's your feeling towards that? Because a lot of Milan and Juventus players have been going back and forth as well too. But again, it wasn't that straight 1-2. It was more, okay, let's eventually get there. Do you think it's more of
I think it's two parties involved are gonna get a lot of heat. I think Inter's gonna get a lot of heat. I think Milan are kind of in the clear. I think he was great for Milan, but I think he's one of those players that could be replaced. I think, like you said, it's just a free part that aggregates a lot of Milan fans. It's just that loss of potential money you could have got for him, and you didn't. You just gave him away for free to Inter, of all teams. In terms of him, I don't like how even though Turkey are out of the Euros, he could have waited a little longer to go announce it. It just looks bad for him because he's all smiling and happy that I'm at a new club, and he immediately is like, oh, we won the Scudetto last year, so we want to win it this year. Well, yeah, Inter won it, not you. He's already like taking ownership as an Inter player so fast, and it just shows you the love he had with Milan just wasn't great. And then on Inter's part, they're very vocal about him being Eriksen's replacement. So the fact that Eriksen happened so recently, and they've already replaced him, is just a little cynical in my eyes, and just showing like, okay, you know what happened to Eriksen is devastating, but okay, we already have a replacement, so he's going to be out the door, and he could figure out what he's doing at another team or if he's going to play. But we're going to replace him already. So I think on those two, well, I mean, it's Inter. I don't know what people expect from these guys, but they live off table scraps. They had Conte, Morata, Asamoah, Ashley Young, Alexis Sanchez. They literally live off teams' table scraps. They're kind of like the dog underneath the table. You wipe off the table scraps and they pick it up. So Morata, it's another fantastic signing for him, another free signing for him that's going to help Inter. It'll be an Eriksen replacement off the bench, or if he does start, because, Inter, they haven't paid their team in 6 months, so he might have to be a starter because they can't afford an actual starter. It'll be good for Inter, but in terms of Milan, it's just another player that they could have got revenue on, or they could have he could have made a difference in Milan next season, and he's going to be at Inter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No,
the Eriksen point is interesting, though, because I didn't even think about that. Like, you can make a signing without acknowledging that it's a replacement for Inter. Or, sorry, for Eriksen. The thing with Eriksen is we don't know anything yet. We don't know if he's playing next year. Maybe we don't know if he's playing again, to be honest. I'm hoping that he does, and or whatever. Low key, I hope he comes back to Inter. Then somebody else buys him. He wins the Champions League. Somebody else. But I don't know. Mentioning that that's the possibility within the situation, I think it's disrespectful to Eriksen and what he and not only him, not only Inter, but anybody who's even putting that sentence together. That he could be a potential. I don't want to hear that sentence. Mm-hmm. I think it's disrespectful. That goes for IFTV, anyone else who has kind of worded that, because I think you can buy him without saying that he's a replacement. You can talk about it in a different way. You can say he's a good midfielder. We could use him as depth. We could start him sometime. You can talk to him in that way without saying he's a replacement for Eriksen. Because the second you start formulating that sentence, it comes off as disrespectful. But like you said, it's Inter Milan. What were we expecting? They take scraps from everybody. So.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that with Ericsson, potentially being hurt and all that stuff, I think, but it would be funny though. Like obviously, it wouldn't happen or whatever. If Ericsson says like,
Went to
okay, well, you
Milan.
guys did this to me, I did this to you. Goes to
Like,
Milan and plays with Milan. Imagine,
imagine
like,
seeing
imagine,
Milan win like the Scudetto miraculously.
like that would be just amazing, amazing, amazing.
And him scoring. Yeah,
do that.
it's like last game of the season, Inter, AC Milan, same amount of points. AC Milan won their game, everything is good, but Inter has the goal, sorry, the other way. And then Ericsson scores in the 90th minute where Inter are about to go back to back, and then boom,
Yeah.
Ericsson comes and kisses the badge, and Murda Inter, and he was the title.
Yeah, hey, that'd be a very, very true ending.
I don't think that'll happen. That'd be awesome.
No, I don't think that'll happen, but it would be like that's a movie right there. That's like a show or a movie, legit. Anyways, guys. Okay, so this concludes our episode of the Calcioteers. Join us next week, as I'm sure and hopefully don't want to jinx it. We'll talk about Italy's journey to the final. Hopefully, if it happens,
Hopefully.
we'll see what happens. But fingers crossed.
One game at a
Okay,
time,
guys.
bud.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Guys, stop celebrating.
No
That's
cel-
it. One game at a time.
Here, let me say this one last thing. Okay. If Italy win, take your flag outside your house, say what's up to your neighbors, wave it, and say 4-0. Have dinner, cheers, and say 4-0. Then go home and go to bed. Do not, under any circumstances, celebrate as if you won the World Cup, because if I just woke up out of a coma, the last 4 parades, I would have thought that Italy, and the thing is, and I know I'm giving you guys a hard time, but I love Italy. But winning teams don't do that. Winning teams don't celebrate until they've actually won something. And I understand that Italy hasn't been in a tournament in a while. But when France won the World Cup, I didn't see no celebrations until the final. So keep the right mentality, right energy, continue to play well, continue to win, and then let's actually win it, and then we can have the greatest celebratory thing of whatever. Because if we don't win or something happens, those clips are going to be clicked up, and they're going to say, "Remember what it did."
Deleted.
So please don't give any ammo. And for anybody that plays you, I think that Italy should celebrate, but minimally, because if you get to the quarterfinals, you got a bigger challenge. You get to the semifinals, it's going to be a bigger challenge. And if you get to the final, it's going to be the biggest challenge of all. So you just got to keep everything mentally in perspective and don't get too carried away. But, go Italy.
Go Italy. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tonight. Ciao, ragazzi. We'll see you soon.
Ciao.
Ciao.